Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Promoting God, family, and country, protecting life, liberty, and property, rejecting revolution unless it's a Jesus revolution. That's right. You're locked on to Liberty RoundTable Live, ladies and gentlemen. This is the broadcast for October the 15th. I've still got James Edwards with me as my guest. James Edwards, thepoliticalcesspool.org is his website. Check out his award-winning broadcast every Saturday night live. I don't know if I can say it like that, but it's true. Anyway, and anytime during the week that fits your schedule. Thepoliticalcesspool.org. He's a well-known commentator, broadcaster, author, dear friend, and more. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, we do give thanks to you and this indication provided by the Liberty News Radio Network. We do give Saturday Night Live a whole different meaning.
Amen to that. All right, President Donald Trump honored conservative commentator Charlie Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom yesterday during an event. It was in the White House Rose Garden, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the interesting thing about this, in my opinion, it was on October 14th. Of course, that was yesterday, but I want to be clear about that date because that was Charlie Kirk's birthday. And President Trump said, hey, you know, I should be meeting with world leaders, but I'm back here doing this, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Good for President Trump. I really think we need to be careful when we put America first that, I mean, it's okay for President Trump to spend some time on the international stage, but I'm concerned about how he's doing some of that. So President Trump honored conservative Charlie Kirk. That's great. I love it. I think Kirk and his lovely wife, they deserve it. No doubt about it. TPUSA, the great people doing a great job. I'm going to find ways that I can support them even more going forward. However, I bring this up because I'm a little concerned. What Trump did is he argued with Erica Kirk when she said, you can't hate your enemies, you got to love and forgive. At Charlie's funeral, Trump kind of argued with her a little bit and said, I hate my enemies and stuff. I hate my opponent. I don't want any good to come to them. That was bad enough. You don't do that at a funeral, in my opinion. It's just bad taste. Okay, I don't care if he disagrees. In talk shows, he can say his opinion on that. That's fine. But, I mean, literally on stage, right after she delivers a message of love, you go back to hate. It doesn't bode well for you. I mean, it's just a political capital, absolute, in my opinion, faux pas. Nevertheless, the reason that I bring this up is because he then, yesterday, even during the giving the Presidential Freedom Award, Presidential Medal of Freedom Award, Trump literally gets up there and says Charlie's incredible and all this. And then he basically says, but Charlie wasn't all about love, Erica. You don't really know your husband. I mean, she didn't say it in these words, but you don't really realize. Charlie, he didn't like his opponent. He was kind of more like me than what you're saying, Erica. Come on. And he kind of ribs her about that. Or chides her, whatever you want to call it. I just think, are you kidding me right now? You can tell Erica that in private, but on the public stage to the world about Charlie Kirk, and when Erica's got the message of forgiveness and love and kindness, and then Trump just uses this again to say, I don't feel like you do, Erica, sorry, and neither did your husband. I don't mean to be rude, but what on earth is Donald Trump saying and thinking? It's a political, in my opinion, snafu of the highest order, James. It's not a bad thing to say of your opinion, but it's the venues that we're talking about. You give the Medal of Freedom to the husband, then you do it at the funeral. I don't have a problem with the language or his opinion. I have a problem with, in that venue, it's like, is that really the place, James?
Well, I might slightly disagree with you. I mean, I think we both probably agree on the message. I think your point of contention is the venue. However,
I don't really have a problem with the message. He has the right to his opinion, and he might be bringing up
I agree with the
another
message.
side of Charlie. I'm fine with that too. But when you do it at someone's funeral, and when you speak right after the hostess, the wife, and you do that, and then you introduce the medal, this great honor, and then you stain it with that kind of a speech, it just makes it harder for it to mean what it's supposed to mean, because we derailed into politics at the time. Was just a bad choice of timing and wording, and it just doesn't bode well. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, though, about that, I mean, and he did play a little bit of a good cop, bad cop thing, and I think he even apologized while he was making those remarks. You know, I'm sorry, Charlie, I know you're looking down on heaven from me, but boy, I do hate him. And it was, I didn't really see. I mean, Trump is Trump, and that was typical Trump bombast. But I think you got to make no mistake about it, though. Yes, it was a funeral, but it was also a political rally.
And that to me, that to me is a problem too. It's because of Donald that it became a political rally. He spoke the longest.
I don't know. I mean,
he moved it to politics more than everybody else for the most part.
I would here though is what I said about that, and I think I disagree with you on that only because everyone was in on that act, and I think that the real standouts from that entire I watched that. It was on a Sunday, and my wife and I watched the entire thing from start to finish. The worship service in the beginning with the singing and all the way through all the speeches. We watched it. It was like an 8-hour thing. The last comment that Charlie Kirk ever posted on social media the day before he died was this, and it was in response to the brutal butchering of this young white Ukrainian woman, Irina Zarutska, in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the black man behind her just savagely stabbed her for no reason. And Charlie Kirk's last post on social media before he was murdered was, if we want things to change, it is 100% necessary to politicize the senseless murder of Irina Zarutska, because it was politics that allowed a savage monster with 14 priors to be free on the streets to kill her. What he's saying is we must politicize her death. He died the next morning. And I think, Sam,
and I agree
this is what
with that.
I think this is what he would have wanted for his funeral, to be honest. I think he would have wanted to use that with the millions, tens of millions of people watching that. I think he would have wanted it to be a call to arms and not just your typical funeral service. And I think that's what the president and all of the other speakers, especially Stephen Miller's, was militaristic.
I understand.
I think that's what they were leaning into.
So here's the question then. What does the call of arms mean? For Trump, it means we're going to lie and say we're going to lock up Hillary and then not do it. When's Hillary getting locked up? When are we going to have, he said he was going to get rid of gun-free zones. First day. Day one, get rid of gun-free zones. Hey, wasn't Charlie Kirk killed in a gun-free zone, my friend? Who's going to tie that together? So if we really want to start to call to arms, let's do it in lawful, meaningful, productive, appropriate ways. Let's not just have rhetoric at a funeral.
Well, I have seen a lot. I know what you're talking about, and there's a lot of criticism that is warranted and deserved for especially the first Trump administration, things he said versus what he either tried to do or just flat out couldn't do. This is a totally remade Republican Party now, though. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of the obstacles. You have seen marked progress. It's a totally different administration. Just the whole feel of it all and what they're going after and what they've been able to do is very different. I mean, now with the Antifa and all of this stuff, I mean, it's just very different than the first time around. And I think, again, and he knows that Charlie Kirk played an absolutely indispensable role in his election. I'm not sure if Trump is the president today without
and he highlighted that too. He focused on that in the speech. And so I don't have any problem with the political nature of it. I guess I have a problem with these fundamental teachings of Christ that are being rejected at the same time the wife advocates for the principles of forgiveness and love. Love is the future and the answer. And he's saying, no, man, let's go ahead and take care of business in a hate way, which is fine if you're going to do it lawfully. But right now, I don't see anybody going to jail. Who's gone to jail? What has Congress done in the last 10 months? What have they accomplished? What do they have to run on, James?
You definitely have the whole thing about Antifa being a terrorist organization, and make no mistake about it, this person was at least ideologically on their wavelength. Now, one problem you have, though, to your point, and it's a fair question. Again, Erica Kirk, I will just say this very quickly. Erica Kirk is a woman. She said what she was supposed to say. I want the head of state to say something more like Trump said, even at the funeral. I will say that. Now, as far as these are...
But the funeral and everywhere but the Medal of Freedom. And the only
but that's
reason
what
why
people are watching.
I know, but those are two times to bring people together. The purpose...
I just don't want to be... But see, that's
together.
We've always sort of...
Do you believe
had
funerals
this,
are meant to bring people together? Is that what the funeral was for?
Not this one. not the assassination
that's
funeral.
The problem with America, though, we'll never make progress if we think that way. Because now we've got Charlie Kirk and Donald divided.
Well, we'll never make progress with these people. These people
Charlie's
have to be
in the middle
removed
of a
from the
tug of
board.
war with his wife and with his political buddies now, right? So Charlie's in the tug of war. He's the tug of war, rope. Whereas Erica's on one side, Trump's on the other, and now Americans have to pick. See, I don't want to pick at a funeral. I just
Well,
want to
if anything,
he lived a God, family, country life, and I honor him for it. Was it perfect?
We could have
Probably
said
not.
that. We could have said that Erica should have been the one that changed her statement. But and again, there is a time for hate, as we are taught in
away from
Ecclesiastes.
what? Love and forgiveness. Is that her? That's her position, right? Should she change it?
Yes.
So she shouldn't.
For these people, yes. These people have to go. I mean, this is where they do have to go. There is no room for them.
Yeah.
What do they always say about conservatives? There's no room for us in society. There's no room for them in society.
And there's no room for there's only room for the elite in society. We'll talk about it. James Edwards with me.
Experience the untamed spirit of the American West with Range Magazine. Each issue is a visual journey featuring award-winning photography and compelling stories that capture the heart of ranching and rural life. Stay informed on the challenges and triumphs of those who live and work on the land. Subscribe today and receive quarterly editions delivered to your doorstep, and join a community that cherishes the enduring legacy of the Western frontier. Visit rangemagazine.com to subscribe.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'm saying, hey, forgiveness was the message I wanted to hear at a funeral. Love, kindness, celebrating a man and his works, realizing that he's not more important than the rest of us, but he did have a great influence, and he turned and pointed us all to Christ to the best of his ability. He taught men how to be men. He did some wonderful things. At a funeral, I like to see that. Now, James wants to kind of ratchet up. Where he wants to go, I'm not sure. And that's really the question and the problem that we're having with all this. For example, James, you could do what you want to do, and here's how you could do it. Ready? There's now reports in the Epoch Times. Headline says, reports of funding, paid and coordinated participation in recent riots have spurred discussion about the nature of protests in the United States. The Epoch Times is so concerned about this that they're putting together a poll, and they're gathering opinions on the legitimacy, transparency, and accountability of such protests, along with appropriate responses by authorities. The poll results, they say, will be published on October 21st, this Saturday. Now, here's the issue, or the kind of the thing for me. So you look at that and you go, okay, you got riots, you got rent-a-riot. So if you want to ratchet things up and put, hundreds, thousands of people on the street that can carry Trump's exact message to the world, James, you can hire a rent-a-riot, buddy, and you can set it right up, get her done if you want to do that. But that's really what's being debated right now is, hey, what about all these paid rioters? And here's my problem. When are we going to get paid on this? Now they're looking into George Soros. Fine. I told you to look into George Soros last time Trump was elected for 4 years. Okay. He said, leave Soros alone. But at the end of the day, whether it's Soros's money, whether it's Bill Gates' money, whether it's who knows who, dark money from political operatives, we can't even know. We can't follow the money. They have protected themselves so much, so you can't know where the money. So at the end of the day, the question is, How come none of these rioters are getting arrested? If we're going to talk about this and say, well, a rent-a-riot's not the same as a peaceful protest, well, a peaceful protest is not the same as peacefully assemble, at some point we're just talking around in circles. And are we going to really get anything done with this or not, James? This is what I mean by it. Everybody wants to ratchet up, but when I ask you where we're going to ratchet it up to, nobody knows. Nobody has an answer. There's like, well, Sam, we got to be bold. We got to do that. What do you want to do? Do you want to rent a riot? Do you want to have TV shows and talk shows about it? Do you want to start arresting people? What needs to happen next in your view?
All right, so this is a great question about these arrests and what's going on and why people aren't, getting stuck into prison. You can send the National Guard in, as Trump is doing, and I like that move. I mean, they're here in Memphis right now, where I live. The National Guard is here, and they are really doing a good job. I mean, it is on the local network affiliate stations and in the local press every day. There's an accounting of how many people were arrested, on what charges. You need a military presence in a place like Memphis that is so violently dangerous, and again, we know why. But the fact of the matter is they are making these arrests. We see it. It is happening. But what is happening after that? Now, you got a big problem. Where's all the violence at, Sam? It is almost exclusively, and there's no doubt about it.
Blue state, extreme big cities with, questionable leadership. Let's just go there.
That's 100%. So it's Portland, it's Memphis, it's Chicago, it's on and on and on.
Yeah, and I've been to these places. They're gnarly. They're crazy.
Well, you just nailed exactly the kinds of places where this violence occurs. You don't see this in small Main Street USA towns in Utah or
then you're Jason
Tennessee
Aldean and you write a song basically not in my town or whatever that thing was called, saying, hey, try that in a small town. It ain't going to go well for you, buddy. We'll arrest you and take care of business. That won't be happening. And then they attacked him relentlessly, and thank heavens for Jason Aldean and his lovely wife standing their ground for liberty. But there you go, right?
Well, the problem is, though, so you can send in, this is what I was getting at, you can send in the National Guard to Memphis, to Chicago, to Portland, but then what happens? When you arrest these people, they go through the criminally corrupt court systems with the Soros ideologue as your district attorney, and they are immediately just churned out, and that's it. Right. So unless they get them on federal charges, unless you can arrest these people on some sort of a federal charge, they are always just going to go in through the revolving door and come right back out on the street, no matter how many times you arrest them.
Federal charges aren't doing much, though. Most of these people aren't even in jail or anything else that are committed all kinds of crimes, right?
Well, this is a problem. If everybody that was actually belonged in jail was in jail, you need a lot more prisons.
Let me make the point this way to kind of help you understand. U.S. Representative Jim Jordan, now chair of the House Judiciary Committee, has demanded testimony from ex-special counsel Jack Smith regarding actions taken during his tenure that Jordan says undermines the criminal justice system. Now, when you undermine the integrity of the system, James, that's a bad thing. But it's only bad culturally. There's no criminal related to that you can really point to. Jordan accuses Smith of attempting to silence former President Donald Trump, orchestrating a massive raid, an abusive raid, if you will, pressuring defense counsel with promises, with promises of political patronage. So now it's all political, will help you kind of elections, and then manipulating key evidence. Smith's actions are said to have undermined the integrity of the criminal justice system. Jordan's demands come after several of Smith's team members allegedly failed to cooperate with the committee's probe into the Biden Justice Department scandals. Documents have also revealed that Smith's team surveilled members of Congress, right? Accessed phone records. Arctic frost is the term they're using for this operation. Jordan seeking details from Smith regarding his appointment, his interactions with the Biden-Harris administration, and the investigations and tactics used during his tenure as counsel. But here's the deal. That's great. So far, we're just babbling. How long have we known Jack Smith is a bad guy? He attacked Steve Stockman literally years ago. He literally has been abusing Donald Trump for years now. And you can say, oh, Sam, we're just starting to work out. You're 10 plus months into your control, buddy. You're about to have midterms where you have nothing to show for your efforts. And now we're going to say Jack Smith is a bad guy. Let's see if he can go before Congress and talk. Are we really at that stage, James? Well, Sam, we got to do due process and justice for him. Okay, but if you're not careful, it's going to be the next Congress. And if you're not careful, it's midterms. You're never going to get Jack on anything if you're not very, very careful. And this is what I'm talking about, James. Everybody wants to ratchet it up. But you've got a criminal like Jack Smith that abuses the president of the United States, literally spied on members of Congress. Okay? The investigations and tactics used. Haven't we already figured all that out? His team surveilled members of Congress. Documents show it. An abusive raid already took place. When was the raid, James? Do you remember? On Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago?
A long time ago.
I don't know, 2, 3, I don't know how long ago. Okay. Now Jim Jordan's like, hey, man, Jack's a bad guy. Let's have him come before Congress and tell us his story. He's going to tell us the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I'm sure of it. Everybody else that's already gone has basically pled the fifth and said we won't talk. That's how far along we are. So we're going to play kids' gloves. I mean, we don't even have boxing gloves on to protect the punches, buddy. We're so wrapped up in mummy, whatever you want to call it, gauze and it protected to where nobody can even possibly hurt us. We're not even close to getting this guy. Are we?
Well, they certainly went after, the Bush League version of Jack Smith. Yeah,
they're getting after Comey there, buddy, big time. And Comey, he's going down.
Well, they definitely are going after Letitia James, who is the Attorney General of the state of New York, who has done some terrible things. I mean, she went after Trump. She bankrupted Peter Brimelow and Vidair, my friend. And, that is one they're going after. But, this actually goes back to my broader
They say they're going
point.
after. So far, there's been no real consequences, though, right?
Well,
Letitia James, isn't she running around free right now?
Well, hey, listen. Now you're talking more like me. Yeah, they should just
if she committed these crimes and stuff. What if you had done what she's done, James? You'd already be behind bars, buddy.
No,
don't tell me you wouldn't. You would be, and I would be, right?
This goes back to the fundamental thing. We can even tie this back into the George Washington movie that's coming out. By the way, so many things on George Washington. It just deals with, of course, the war, the Revolutionary War, and his time as president. He had a fascinating life, and I look forward to learning more about it. There's a place in Virginia called the Natural Bridge that he found when he was a surveyor for the very early in his career. He just had a fascinating life. But, if you go back to that time, Sam, Americans were of broadly one mind. Common denominators in terms of faith and language and folkways and history and culture and just all of that stuff. And now there is none of that. Again, do you want to live in a country? Do you want to get along and close the ranks with somebody like Jack Smith? I'm just saying we are this Tower of Babel right now. One side's going to wipe the other one off the map. That's for sure. And this is something that Lou Moore brought out. And I don't know if the Republicans have the cojones to do it, because we've certainly never seen it happen before. But if there's ever been a time, it's now, because
the proof
if we
is in
don't
the
win
pudding,
this,
they're not getting it done. If I saw real signs, I might believe you, but I'm not buying it. Let me give you an example. They say that Jack Smith pressured defense counsel with promises of political patronage. What does that mean, James? If I promise you political patronage, what does that mean?
I don't know. I'd like to get some, though.
James just knows it's lucrative and good. It's either money or special strings pulled to get elected or special strings pulled to gain power. It's not a like Sam Bushman plan. I don't seek for power. I seek to pull it down. It's not like that, is it? Not a chance. And then attacking Trump, manipulating evidence, trying to silence the former president of the United States. Are you kidding me? And he's still running around free, right?
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. There were 4 on Monday and 4 more yesterday. Bodies of hostages handed over to Israel by Hamas, although Israel's military is saying that one of the bodies handed over yesterday is not that of a hostage, but rather is a Palestinian.
One of the 3 identified bodies is of Tamir Nimrodi, whose status was unclear until now. Forensic experts are reportedly investigating whether the 4th body is of a Palestinian. The slow return of the bodies by Hamas has provoked anger in Israel and raised fears that it could derail the ceasefire deal. The Israeli authorities have threatened to delay the reopening of the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt and restrict the entry of aid as punishment. But the Israeli public broadcaster says that will not happen now that more bodies have been returned.
The BBC's Hugo Bachega. President Trump says that Hamas had better disarm or the U.S. will do the job. House Speaker Mike Johnson hopes the president will be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize next year.
I'm proud to tell you that together with my friend Speaker Ohana of the Israeli Knesset, the equivalent of our Congress, we're going to embark upon a project together to rally speakers and presidents of parliaments around the world so that we will jointly nominate President Donald J. Trump for next year's Nobel Peace Prize. No one has ever deserved that prize more.
In Los Angeles, the County Board of Supervisors has voted to declare a state of emergency, clearing the way for assistance to those who claim that federal immigration enforcement has left them struggling financially. Taxpayer money for rent relief, legal aid, and other services. 6 alleged narco-terrorists are dead after the U.S. military took out another suspected drug-running boat off the coast of Venezuela. The rally rolls on Wall Street. The Dow is up 294 points. The Nasdaq 290 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, by having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. This is interesting. According to the Daily Wire, and there's starting to be real discussions about the Daily Wire and how genuine they are and some things like that. I'm not really here to get into it. I look at a lot of websites, and if they've got a good headline, I'll run with it. If they don't, I won't. To me, it's the topics to be discussed that are important, whether I agree with the article or not. But in the Daily Wire, they had an interesting article. Trump, quote, Hamas will disarm, or we will disarm them. DailyWire.com. What do you think of that, James?
Well, now that is one aspect of Trump that I always take with a grain of salt, and that's when it comes to these Mideast negotiations. The Jews and the Arabs have been at war for all of recorded history, and there's nothing that any Republican president, including the current one, is going to be able to do to stop that. This is... you always like to see hostages released and some of the things. I'm not saying it's all entirely fool's gold and that some things that have happened this week haven't been good on some levels, but there's not going to be a lasting peace, and I do not trust Israel at all not to go back and continue the genocide that's going on over there. But it has been good for Trump's image over here.
Israel block off some roads and things like that relate to possible food and some of the different things. And so you see Hamas escalating slightly. You see Israel escalating slightly. They're flexing their muscles and everything else. It's very tenuous at best.
Yeah,
I pray for peace. I pray for peace.
Well, of course.
I don't think we'll have real peace until the Savior, Jesus Christ, comes. But I certainly pray for it, and we'll do all we can to help it be the case, right?
Guaranteed. I absolutely agree with that. And of course, the Muslims have never been friends to the West or to Christianity either. And
no question.
It's just not going to be. There's just too much tit for tat, heartache going back generations over there.
Sure.
I mean, really millennia. And I don't see anything. It'll be it's probably just an impasse so that everybody can retool. Is what's happening here. If you had
humble servants of God, then you could probably come forward with it. But you have people that really seek for power. They don't seek to pull it down, that kind of stuff. But here's the question, though. When President Trump says they will disarm or we will disarm them, what does that mean? I mean, he can't go to war without congressional approval. So to some degree, the phrase is empty. At the same time, it shows, in my opinion, incredible meddling and tampering. And I mean, why would you be on the national stage doing this, picking sides, agitating the other side? I just don't see the value in it.
It was definitely a provocation. It was a provocative statement at this time of supposed peace and negotiations and a peace deal, in fact, at least for a few days, I think. But that he would say, basically make a threat, saying we're going to, take action if you don't do all of this. And I mean, there's just no doubt about it domestically. And both of these things can be true. Trump can be very good on some things and then not everything on other things, as we have discussed with anybody alive, up into and including the president. I think he is doing good things domestically, particularly on immigration, that he should be celebrated over. But make no doubt about it, this is just the way the world works. This is politics, and this is politics at the highest level. When you're talking about the American president and the Jewish state, some of Trump's biggest, most lavish donors are Jews who have a vested interest in the continuation of the Zionist state in the Middle East, and he is, I'm not going to say he's owned by them per se, but he does owe them favors, and this is just the way the world turns and the way politics works. And when it comes to what's going on over there, for the most part, even though I believe Netanyahu can exasperate Trump on some things, and I'm sure dealing with him has to be a hard task. Richard Nixon had the same thing. I mean, he would grumble and grouse over having to deal with certain people, but he still did what he had to do, or what they would have him do on a lot of things. I just think at the end of the day, Trump's always. I don't think he is a non-biased broker in this deal. I think he's certainly on one side.
I just think the more we can avoid foreign entanglements, the better. And I especially don't understand when we're right now having Russia praise Donald Trump for his peace efforts there, then to go ahead and, push that hard. And, at some point, these other countries sit back, and it may seem like he's got peace in the palm of his hand right now. But I guarantee you a lot of these countries are sitting back saying, who do you think you are? Do you think you're the god of this world or something, Donald?
Well, I tell you, I hope
you can't come out that belligerent and brazen and using everything America has as weapons against everybody in soft warfare and expect peace to come out of that. You just can't.
I hope, Sam, that what is actually taking place over there is everything that is being reported in the press, that there is peace and that Trump came in there as a neutral arbiter and he got a deal done, at least for a time being. And then, of course, peace is going to also rest on the shoulders of the two belligerents over there, Israel and the Palestinians. But I hope that he has been that neutral arbiter and everything is as it has been reported. But if it is exactly how it has been reported, it will be the first time in my life that has been the case. So you see what I'm saying?
I pray for it, and I think their fruits are worth the hire. I support all that. I want to be very careful here that we understand the principles. And the principle is our founders taught us to avoid foreign entanglements. We really, at first it does well, but when power changes, when this and that, we can't even handle the shifting sands of the power in the United States, much less the shifting sands of power around the world. So let's come back to America, quit, gallivanting the globe and trying to get the Nobel Peace Prize and focus on putting people in prison that deserve to be there. Okay, that's my humble take for America first, if you will. Now, Sam Altman's in the news, and I want to disagree with Sam. Sam disagrees with Sam, okay? And here's the disagreement. Elon Musk has used his chatbots now to promote porn bots, so to speak. Or he's got these chicks that will talk sexy to you, and the more you open their secrets, the more you, and it's a game, and so we've been attacking Elon Musk over this, saying, shame on you, how dare you for promoting this. This isn't really good for society. All the other chatbot groups in the past have been avoiding that like the plague, knowing that it's just not good, societally speaking, with as addictive as these games are and chat and how it becomes people's girlfriends and boyfriends. Or anyway, these bots are neutral. They're not male or female. So you've got an androgynous, I don't even know what to say. It's just weird. Anyway, Sam Altman now says ChatGPT will soon allow erotica or, quote, for adult users. TechCrunch.com with the piece. And you can say, well, Sam, adults can do what they want. I'm just telling you right now that it's destructive of society, and I think it's a horrible idea. And pretty soon you're going to have whacked out men hooked on some digital chick on the internet, and all kinds of problems will arise from this. I'm telling you, it's a societal snafu big time. And this is why we're suffering like we are in America in many, many ways, because we're just an immoral people. The only way that the Sam Altman ChatGPT or the Elon Musk, whatever his is, Grok, or I can't remember whose is whose or whatever. The only way that those things gain traction is if people take them up on it. I'm guaranteeing it'll be billions and trillions of dollars in the industry, but it will harm society like you would not believe. I'm providing a witness and a warning. James?
This is a problem that I believe is not getting nearly enough coverage. I had a guest on a month or two ago on my program. His name is Dr. Roger Devlin. He wrote a book called Sexual Utopia and Power. Talks about the strains that have been put on male-female relationships in the age of radical feminism, and how a lot of young men, especially now, are sort of just checking out on even trying to find a woman, which I totally reject. I think if you get into some conservative churches, you will find plenty of beautiful young ladies who understand proper gender roles and want to be a wife and a mother. And that you should not check out, but a lot of people have. And I am telling you, with this advent and if the Grok companions or Grok companions that Elon Musk has set up, there's one that will flirt with you, and it will stimulate the brain to release those same chemicals in a way that makes you feel as though you are getting that emotional support and comfort that would come from a IRL, in real life relationship. And I believe that, and that's not the Musk one isn't the only one. There are a lot of these out there. And I think increasingly, you already have the death of the West in terms of declining birth rates. There is not one Western nation, i.e. not one.
Hey, man, don't blame it on me, buddy.
No, Utah's its own ethno state, but no, there's not one majority white nation that is at 2.1 1% or even 2.0. No Western nation is at replacement level fertility as it stands now.
It's because we're believing the lies and we're believing the propaganda and we're basically indoctrinated. We've got to undoctrinate ourselves and promote the proclamation on the family and God-ordained male and females, and male and female get together and bring children into the world. That's God's plan for his family. We're his children and he loves us and he wants us to form and have, legitimate God-ordained families. That's what God wants, right?
There is a lot of reasons why the birth rates are where they are now, but I'm telling you, with the advent of these bots, and wait until this pseudo-consciousness gets ported into, frankly, sex dolls, it's going to have an even further, it's even going to exacerbate the problem. And I think this is going to be something that is going to be a big, big problem in 5 to 10 years. And nobody's really talking about it.
Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government, and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education, conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. callforcivility.com.
All right, there's crises everywhere. We aim to bring reason and solutions to the things we face in modern society. Promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property are the buzzwords for a lot of what we focus on. But here's the deal. The notorious Mexican drug cartels are now pushing for the killings of federal agents conducting immigration raids in Chicago. Daily Wire with this piece, they get credit. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, revealed on Tuesday that there's credible evidence and intelligence that, hey, the cartels are offering what are called domestic extremists, groups, and street gangs large amounts of money, large bounties, if you will, to literally attack. Now listen, cartels have offered $2,000, a payment for anyone who can dox federal leaders, $5,000 to $10,000 to anyone who can kidnap or assault them, and a whopping $50,000 for the assassination of top immigration officials. That's according to the Department of Homeland Security. How true that is, I don't know. They might be overstating it, but I don't know. These criminal networks are not just resisting the rule of law. They're waging an organized campaign of terror against the great men and women who protect our communities, our borders. Kristi Noem said in a statement on Tuesday. Our agents are facing, quote, ambush, drone surveillance, death threats, all because they dare to enforce the laws passed by Congress. Wow. We won't back down from these threats, and every criminal terrorists or those who take this action will face justice. Armed gangs, they're spotters on roofs now, are deployed to rooftops in Chicago, the Little Village neighborhoods, Pilsen, I guess it is. I guess the leader of the Latin gangs was recently arrested in Chicago recently after he attempted to orchestrate a murder for hire, a scheme to take out the commander of I mean, it's just insane what they're really talking about. They say it's the war zone out there, James.
My brain had to rewire as I rewire on the fly, and
this
it
is
still
third
does.
World country stuff, buddy. This is crazy town.
When you were setting up that story, and you used the word domestic extremist, I had to think for a second, because prior to literally this year, anytime the word domestic extremist has been used in the press, it's been used to describe, conservative Christians, people like us. But see, now in the Trump age, a domestic extremist actually means domestic extremist. It means people like Antifa. It means cartels. It means, things like this. And, that's not nothing. And the SPLC and the ADL being booted out of the FBI and polite graces of presidential administration is not nothing. But yeah, see, again, these people aren't going to places like Corinth, Mississippi. It is only in these areas like Chicago where you have this. And again, I just think, speaking in all of these skirmishes paint a broader picture, and that is, how do you live in a society that is one America from sea to shining sea, with places like this, these blue tumors just blotting your nation? I'd say, and that is a legitimate question. I mean, how do you reconcile everything that separates us anymore? In a way, yes. I mean, come to the Prince of Peace, come to Christ, but they're not going to do that, and we know that they're not going to do that. So, I mean, what can you do with them? And I can tell you this: if it's not done by 20,
when you say they're not going to do that, there will be enough people around the world who will do that and be a prepared people for Christ to come. There's no doubt about that. There may be far and few between. Yeah. I get it. But the followers of Christ will prepare for the return of their Lord, and I hope to be one of them.
No, you're exactly right about that. And I mean, throughout the country, there is no shortage of that. I'm just talking about in these places with these particular leaders. I just don't know how that happens, and then how you can reconcile as one America when there is so much that separates now, and it is fundamental to their very identity. I mean, again, no shared faith, no shared heritage or ethnicity or anything that brings the people together. I just don't know how this is supposed to continue. And I will say this. We could all quite rightly sort of get frustrated with there not being more done.
Yeah, you're right. And that's why when people want to ratchet it up, I hesitate, because I don't know what they mean when they say that. I don't know where that leads to when they say that, right?
I will tell you this about ratcheting it up, and it'll be on full display for everyone to know and for everyone to witness. If, and God forbid, if the left ever gets back into power, this is no hyperbole, this is no exaggeration, they will be out for blood, and they will absolutely put the lights out on anyone who was a part of this Trump coalition. I'm talking about imprisonment or worse. It'll be something the likes of which you've never seen. You think it's been, and it has been. I don't say you as in you, Sam. I say you as in all of us. We think this has been a drift to the third world. We will see what third world, how third world America can be if they ever.
I agree, and that's really why I don't want to see things escalate, because I don't know where things are going to go, right? And it concerns me big time when I don't know where things are going to go, to sign on to something that 25 people say we mean this, and we mean this, and we mean this, and at the end of the day, the government decides what it means. I don't think so. I want to be very, very careful with my rhetoric. I understand that we need to crank up the prosecution of criminals. There's no doubt about that. That's not debatable. The question is how and where. But these criminals, you got armed gang spotters on rooftops. I mean, in my opinion, how come those people aren't removed and arrested immediately? If they are, why aren't we putting why aren't we doing perp walks for that on TV? I mean, come on, let's go. So I'm all for peaceful taking care of the law. I'm all for due process. I'm all for the proper role of government being carried out. But it just feels like we're not willing to carry ours out. We're willing to do rhetoric or violence, and neither are very helpful in my opinion. But the final story of the hour, James, is this. I want to get your take on this too. The $20 million in U.S. aid to Argentina is contingent on the election victory of the country's leading president, right? Javier Milei, or however you say his name. That's according to Trump. So we're going to basically give them $20 billion, James, but only if he wins. If not, we're not giving the cash. Now, I don't know if Donald can say that kind of stuff and do that kind of stuff, but it's meddling in foreign elections, number one. Number two, president doesn't control the purse strings. The House of Representatives does. So, see, I have problems with these kind of statements all over the place, James. I really do. You know what? How dare you say that on the American taxpayer when you have no authority to do that? Congress needs to step up and check the president on that. And I don't want to be meddling in Argentina's elections. I agree that this guy's a good guy. I like Javier Milei. I'm not saying that, he's a bad guy. What I'm saying is I'm not interested in meddling in their elections, just like I don't want them to meddle in my elections. What do you say, James?
This is another thing. And Trump said this. This was something he said to Bill O'Reilly way back during the Hillary Clinton campaign about, or maybe it was right after he was first elected president. It was in that time, in that era. O'Reilly was talking about Russians who murder political dissidents and things like that. And he said, "Oh, you think we're so innocent? we got a lot of killers too." It is true. He caught a lot of flack for that, but he was right. And he's probably been a part of it himself now that he's been president twice. But America has a long and troubling history with meddling in other countries' foreign affairs. It's certainly going back to George Washington, who's been invoked. His name has been invoked 2 or 3 times this program today. I am a George Washington foreign policy type of guy. Technology has changed since the 1700s, but the rule still applies. I don't like seeing these color change revolutions that America has been engaged in, including in the one in Ukraine originally, that brought forth Zelensky. They've done it all over the world. It's bad news, and for the most part, I don't even know if it's ever served America's interest to begin with.
Well, it's a fair point.
And there certainly hadn't been a war that America's participated in since the 1800s, and I'm not even talking about the one people are thinking about. I'm certainly talking about ones before the war between the states.
And that's why I believe in the Prince of Peace and teaching the Bible. There's new studies out. The younger generations now, Gen Z and everybody else, is starting to look at religion and starting to want to go back to church, starting to want to meet. The boys are wanting to meet girls, the girls are wanting to meet boys, and they're wanting to form families. And we're seeing a resurgence of what Charlie Kirk focused on and what I believe in. And, is it the answer? I believe it's the answer to prepare people for Christ's return. Absolutely. And those who are not going to be aboard are not going to be aboard no matter what we do. So I'm not really looking for the biggest audience I can get. I'm looking for the audience where I can actually make a difference in their lives and help them come unto Christ. I'm looking for those who want to preserve constitutional communities in spite of what's happening in, say, Chicago, or it's a total war zone somewhere. I want to live in safe, good communities that uphold the supreme law of the land, that look to God, family, and country, that protect life, liberty, and property. And hey, I might be in a place where if you're a Puritan, you're looking for the ideal. We may be far from that ideal, but we can work on the real and make it closer to the ideal the more people we have in that given area. So it's time for Americans to decide, are you going to move somewhere? Are you going to do something to truly advocate for what you believe in a meaningful way where your influence can count? How dedicated are you to the sacred cause of liberty, I ask? James, you get 25 seconds, buddy, to wrap it up.
Sam, I agree with you. We are the shepherds of the flock that God gave us, and God bless you and your friendship and your family. My best to Julie. Travel safe this week. Call Lou. Thank you for being a good shepherd here as the host of this program and the proprietor of this network that has done so much good.
And to those who say they want to ratchet things up, I'm waiting for them to send me the plan to see if I can sign on. In the meantime, though, I'm asking people to stand up with my campaign for civility. I've actually got a plan, believe it or not. Where's the rest of y'all? Come on now. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. Stand your ground. Trust in God. After all, God save our constitutional republic.